You're listening to the Mortgage Success Podcast, a show created to inspire mortgage brokers to achieve optimal success in their mortgage businesses. I'm the host, Brian France, the author of the book, Internet Marketing for Mortgage Brokers, tripling your online sales by getting your internet marketing done the right way. I'm also the founder of Mortgage Broker Marketing, the digital marketing agency for the mortgage industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in your mortgage business. Welcome, mortgage podcast listeners. With me today is Derek McGowan. Derek, how you doing, man?
Good, Brian. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your start in mortgage. Like, how did you? How long you been in? Process, loan types, markets you serve. Go for it.
Sure. Yeah. So probably like every other loan officer I've ever met, didn't go to mortgage school, didn't get the mortgage degree in college or anything. I was a baseball guy. So I just was going to college to play baseball and kind of liked business. I got an accounting degree and kind of liked numbers, whatnot. And then flash forward a few years down the road, once baseball dwindled down, I was in the automobile business and thought I wanted to go into finance there. And the finance guys were like, hey, we're going to jump into mortgage. Think that'd be, just a better lifestyle, better everything. You don't have to pound the pavement on a car dealership to make a buck. You can kind of structure it and if you have a laptop, you can work, as long as you do your job, you're good. So that was 2016, jumped in the mortgage world. And before that, never had any idea I would make my way there, but love it. And I stuck and not going anywhere now. I'm all in. Markets served. So again, diving in head first into something I didn't know at that time. So I jumped into an FHA only team with my first lender. I didn't know what that would entail really. That was the job that was available. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So they gave me 580 to 620 credit score FHA leads every day. And that's how I had to learn how to do a mortgage. So I thought, man, the whole, it's tough to get a home loan, man. It's just, that's all that I knew. I didn't ever touch a conventional loan the first year and a half of doing it. No VA, nothing like that. Learned it on, but looking back, it's that's how people should learn it. I think, it's easy to figure out those perfect credit scores. Absolutely. And they got to be taken care of as well, but that's an easy addition. It's tough to go the other way. I feel like once you're used to the easy, simple stuff, then learning the tough stuff's, difficult. So for that reason, myself and my team, I feel like we don't shy away from that. We see a 580 score or something, or a 500 score, whatever. It's okay, we know how to kind of maneuver this, know how to get this approved, know the tricks, I guess, because I was submerged in it from day one.
So how long were you strictly doing FHA?
First year and a half, almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Unless somebody clicked FHA on the form and they were really conventional, the one-off every so often, but it was strictly funneled in. Hey, Derek does FHA loans for this company. That was it. So, it was all in first year and a half, 2 years. And then once I jumped to, the next place I worked for, then it was more opened up and I noticed it was kind of interesting because then I got, again, you only know what you know or whatever's in your little bubble. Yeah. So I thought I was doing the normal thing. I didn't really think it was that abnormal. Then jumping up to a little bit bigger pond, with my second employer in the mortgage world and noticing that you start chatting with the other people you're around and they're like, hey man, how do I get this approved? I'm stuck here. People that have been in the business longer than I had were starting to come over to me just because that's all that I knew. So I would kind of get some deals pushed my way that just kind of fell through from other people that were used to dealing with more 700 plus credit. And they're like, oh man, I don't know how to tinker with reserves or shaving down the debt to income ratio or boosting somebody's credit score. Why waste our time kind of thing. And I'm like, send it over here. I'll work on that. I'll tinker. I'll kind of diagnose this and figure out a game plan and, have that person ready to buy a house in 2 months. Let's go. That's what I had to do the last few years. So, for those reasons, I kind of it was a tough start, but I feel like I'm super happy now because at least that's kind of that's the groundwork, I guess, of what I had to learn.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing. So doing that, people that had no experience but been in the business a long time saw these loans come across, and you're like, yeah, I'll take care of that.
Yeah, that honestly is probably because I mean, I feel like anybody early on in any industry, you kind of have to know your strengths and weaknesses and really look yourself in the mirror. So I knew, like, okay, I can't go toe to toe for people with experience. If this person's been doing this for 20 years, I've been doing it for 2, I got no shot, there. But it's like, okay, I could be creative. I could kind of, scratch and claw and grind my way through it. And it's like, oh, that's fine. Like, the easier deals will come with time once I kind of, build up a little bit of a reputation and a name or whatever. But I can keep diving through the stuff that other people don't want to work on, don't want to work as hard for. I'll take that all day long. If that's what I can capitalize on, and they're throwing them in the trash can, it's like, oh, hold on, that's still somebody that's going to be able to buy. And then you help. I feel like the biggest thing, you help that family out after they got thrown away.
Right.
They're loyal. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to tell their family because you took a second and really helped them. So yeah. So looking back, that's a blessing that you started with the tougher loans. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. I wouldn't, it was a lucky guess. I had a lucky just place to stumble into. I didn't, at that moment in time, that was what I was given. Looking back, because they did also have a VA only team. Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, oh man, like I was dealing with like the low credit scores, but they had to have a down payment. They had to have reserves. They had to, and there's debt to income restrictions for VA 0. I mean, I'm looking, in that moment in time, once I finally started figuring out, like looking over the fence, that some of my colleagues are doing VA only, and man, they don't have to have any down payment. Like I'm sitting here having to get people to like take money out of retirement or get gift funds or have the awkward conversations with their family members to, send them money. And man, this is tough to get a deal done sometimes. But again, like bigger picture now, I'm thankful that, I actually did that because I could go figure out the 0 down VA loan. And I have, that's easy. Shoot. I mean, that's simple stuff. It's tough, I think, if you were used to just 0 down VA loans, trying to come over and learn how to piece together an FHA deal with tough credit.
Awesome. So something came to mind. What do you do when you had mentioned they tell their friends and family you do a good job for that person, that tougher loan, they're loyal. What do you do to get referrals from your client?
So I think there's certainly no one size fits all on that. I think because when I first started getting coaching and help and just kind of thinking outside the box, the first thing was, start sending them postcards. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, dude, I go to the mailbox at the end of the day, I get 10 postcards a day and I throw 10 of them away, But, but I get the idea. You're also taking a second to show up and be top of mind for, even if it's just for a split second. But a split second once a month for years. I mean, when they think of a mortgage, they might think of you. You have a better chance, at least. You're buying the little brain cells, I guess. For that moment in time, like, oh man, this guy's just persistent, but hey, he's still around, must be doing something. Let's call and give him a shot. And I feel like once we get a shot, we latch on for, give them, a reason to want to work with us. A lot of it's just opening the door, getting the opportunity to be introduced to them. So there's that. And then, I think nothing beats just the hard work on just staying in touch, and that's part of why a couple of years back, the light bulb went off in my head that I need a team. There's all these ideas. I think there's a lot of people that have beautiful ideas. I was like, man, I don't want to be one of just them. I don't want to be just this cool ideas, talk about it, never execute, never do it. I'm like, I need to have a team where I can actually say, all right, this needs to be done. I might not be able to do it every single time perfectly because, I get pulled away in a million different directions but it needs to be done consistently. So now it's kind of where, we do a check-in call with everybody that closes afterwards. Heck, I was last night, like the last thing I did, we had 2 closings yesterday. I sent out personalized videos to each of them, thanking the borrower for allowing us the opportunity, thanking the agent for that. Because I'm going to relay this back around, but most lenders, they close the deal, close the transaction, they're out. See you later, thanks. That's it. You never hear from them again. And borrowers have questions. Hey, I just bought a house and closed on this. How do I make my payments? When do the payments start? Like, when are you going to send me something? If that's you, I feel like a lender could have knocked it out of the park, done fantastic for a month, closed the loan. but then the last impression is what sticks with them. And it's like, oh man, he just wanted a paycheck and he was out the door. He got what he wanted and he's out. I never heard from him again. So when I'm going to buy the house in 5 years down the road, I'll just go back online and find somebody else. I'll just go, like, they never really were there. They just they cared about me until they got what they wanted, and then they're out. So I don't want that to be the lasting impression at all. So personalized video, we do check in with them a week afterwards. Where I have one of the people on the team check in, a phone call. Just, it could be a 30-second phone call or a message, but at least we were there touching base with them. Send them and then ongoing, they have a monthly housing report that gets sent over from us to track their mortgage balance, their home value, neighborhood value. It gives them a lot of tools to where it's kind of a passive thing. We're not down their throat. Hey, we're just here providing some value. You can find us if you need us. We're here for you. So I think the combination, like kind of the spray chart of all that, just touching them different ways, and social media, which you've helped me a ton on that stuff. I think it's a big part in today's world. I think every professional in the industry knows social media is important. I just don't think everybody executes on it. So that's been a big focus for myself and my team to make sure we're present there, because that's probably the biggest thing as well is letting them know that, hey, we're not just some person on the other side of the computer. Like we're a human. Like hey, this is what I do on my weekends, or hey, this is what we're doing today. We just closed this person's house, or more video things, which you've helped without pumping those things out. And I think a lot of it's kind of taking the guard down, pulling back the curtains, showing them that we're humans, and people want to deal with humans that they like, so at least they know. Maybe they like us, maybe they don't like me, maybe I'm not their type of person, but at least they know who we are. So I think we can get a good match going right from the get-go. And I think that's probably a big part of where that comes from.
Awesome. So you mentioned, like, you have a team, like you can't do everything. So some lenders, right, they get paid, boom, done. They don't check in after. So you're checking in, but you're also having some of your team members check in with them like a month later, and then you follow up with some reports. Is that done through HomeBot?
It is. I use HomeBot. Yep. I've been a HomeBot since the moment I heard it came out. Like, I feel like if I should have invested in that dang company, but I was like, I don't know, like 2+ years now. I know they've only been out for not that long, but they picked up a lot of steam. HomeBot's great. I think that's something I'll always have. And then just to kind of tag on to the team part there. I certainly, if this was me a few years back, I probably thought I could do it all myself. Certainly dumb and naive, that's just not feasible. And I think I thought of it as a bad thing. I mean, if I'm not the one that calls on every single thing, that's bad. I'm doing a disservice. So that's kind of where it was coming from is, I don't know. This is my business. It's my name on it. I got to touch every button. I got to send every message. And I try. I still am heavily involved, but I've certainly, like the light bulb going off moment was when, hey, man, I really tried to do this, but if I could have somebody do it 80% as good as I can, but they nail it and do it every single time, well, that's better than me doing it every so often. Even if I think I do it great,
big time,
but if somebody does it consistently and they're just about as good, some of the people on my team are better than I do on things for sure. So, but that's way better, because I think I had to kind of like drop myself down a notch. It would be realistic about it, that I'm not that important. Like, people want a good job done. They trust me. They reached out because, I helped them last time or helped their friends or family, but they want to make sure it's done. They get prompt answers. I mean, heck, me plus the team can respond like lightning quick. Me on my own, it might take me a second, and that right there is a better client experience. If I'm still involved and still there overseeing it all, but I've got a great team to make sure that they're talking on a podcast, our clients are still being helped right this second. That's better than me not doing it.
And someone calls your phone number, someone's picking up the phone, right? It's a real human picking up the phone. It's not a message. It's not going off to, and that's what people need, right? That's what people want when they have a question that needs an answer. They pick up the phone. Someone's there.
100%. We're in an Amazon society, man. Like, we're in that quick, gotta have it now. Need the 2-day, the next day delivery stuff, that kind of deal. But in our world, it's when I call, I need somebody to pick up. I need a real human, not some voice recording, whatever. So, somebody calls me, somebody texts me, somebody emails me. I've got me and a whole handful of other people that are all qualified to help answer that question. So they don't wait. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so critical. I mean, the if someone that you haven't built a relationship yet is reaching out and they have a mortgage need, right? And they're searching online and they get a phone recording. I don't think 90% of them are going to sit there and know what to do, know who to talk to. They're going to go to the next website, right?
Yeah, it does a disservice for all that you guys do for me, really, because you guys, you do the ads, you get them rolling, you get them engaged. They call, they reach out, like the whole job was done well, and then we would let it all down. Yeah, if it goes to some recording, and they're like, oh, I'll find the next person on the Google list. Yeah, we'll go to the next, the next mortgage company. So no, that's the thing. Somebody calls somebody, us, we have one of our qualified people pick it up, helping them right away. And same thing with text messages, because I hear that. I mean, I talk to realtors every day, and that's whenever I get to the point, I'm asking them, what's the one thing that you struggle with lenders you've worked with in the past? It's communication, or, well, I text them, or my clients text them, and it takes a day or two to respond. And that's just like cringy hearing that. Like, we, as an industry, lenders drop the ball on that because I don't think they know. And that, I mean, admittedly, I got to a point where I was getting, in that direction. I don't ever think I take a day to respond, but still, once it started taking, somebody texts me in the morning and I respond on my way out the door that night, it's like, man, the whole dang day went by. They could have already bought a house. They could have needed me for that new pre-approval. Like, could have missed the ball. It's a quick industry. So how to build everything to where we can adapt to that and continue to always grow with it.
It is.
Yeah. So quick responses.
I want to get into the CRMs and things that you're using. But first I wanted to mention, what do you do when someone, like a cold lead calls that you don't have a relationship with? How does, like, the trust, how is the trust being built? How is what do you guys do? I mean, when I call, I believe the phone is answered very welcoming. And so that's like a major step. But what do you do? What does your team do? What have you coached them on building trust with people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I also feel like what I've noticed a lot, we do try to track every little thing as much as we possibly can, just to get to learn more about internal, like, diagnose ourselves and where are people coming? How are they coming in? What have they seen before they show up on the phone with us? And I think a lot of it, I don't jump in one step even further out ahead of it, but I do feel like the marketing that builds trust. That is a big part. I think, because I don't know, I think marketing could be looked at from some people with like a negative connotation where it's just like this facade or whatever. But no, you're just, I mean, sure, some people might take it that way. There's some people that maybe use it for the wrong reasons or whatever. But I think a lot of it's comfortability. They're getting to know us. They're getting to know me. Like, we've had people call in and, hey, I saw your I-10 video. I saw your bank statement loan video, and I wanted to talk. And now and the biggest part probably is that my team and I work together all day long, all throughout the day. We're all working as a unit, like most of the time it's on a Zoom or Skype call throughout the day, but we're all kind of office setting all as one. So if an example happens, we all hear about it right there. I think that's how we accelerated our growth on a lot of the products, or how we greet them on the phone, those kind of things. So I can hear how my team answers the phone because I'm sitting right here listening to them, And I'm a pretty laid back, not micromanaging type person or whatever, but I try to empower my team to, like, hey, it doesn't have to just be from me. Like, we all have beautiful minds. We all have our own perspectives, our own experiences. Like, I try to empower them where, hey, if you hear so-and-so answering the phone and you think they could have said this to help, chime in. Like, I might be on a phone call. I might not have heard it. I want us all to be able to, like, have trust that nobody's calling somebody out, but we're all trying to help better one another. I think that's a big part. And when I first was starting to build a team, I did have a company I paid to answer the phones for us to kind of distribute it, because what would happen is a client calls in and I've got myself and 4 other loan partners, all of our phones are ringing, and like, we all stop because we're all working on stuff all day long. Phone rings. So I'm thinking, as just a business owner, I'm like, my whole entire business shuts down every time the phone rings. That's not good either. One person needs to shut down, but I don't need 5 shutting down. So like, okay, we need to kind of have a call tree where it hits one person, and that's like the distributor, I guess, of who it goes through. So I had a company do that, but I trialed it. I called in as a client many a times, and it was like a 50% 50% of the like you were mentioning, now you call in, it's very welcoming. 2 years ago, I would say you would have had that response half of the time, and half the time
Really?
not. Like, that's a big problem because
Yeah.
it was like a call center, and you never knew which person on the call center was going to
Right.
take it. The moment somebody mispronounced my last name, I'm out. You can't call
Yeah.
McGowan Mortgages and they mess up the McGowan part. Like, no, can't do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, flash forward, I've got Tao on our team answering my phones, and she does a fantastic job. She's super welcoming, super warm, and the other big part is she's also kind of working on the call, like on our ongoing team call throughout the day. So she kind of knows borrowers' files as well,
Yeah.
even though herself, she is not a loan officer, but
Right.
she's in our CRM. So somebody calls in, we have a caller ID, she could be pulling up their file and kind of know, oh, they were working with so-and-so on the team.
Yep.
Hey, give me 2 seconds. I see, looks like, Tara or Michael or Fidel or Courtney's off the phone.
That's awesome.
I'll transfer you over. So that's how it's, when it was a whole different company that was totally removed from our day to day.
Yeah.
They have no idea. They don't know who they're transferring to. They don't know what we're doing each day, where we're at on files. But now that I've got somebody internally doing it who is in the mix, it's made it a lot better.
Yeah.
He knows their story.
I can see that and sense that. And, every time I've called, it's someone's answering the phone that's pleasant and knows, knows what's going on.
Yeah, because I don't want that. That's because the client, I mean, sure, on our side, we know kind of how it's all set up. But clients, they somebody calling in off of some website search or whatever, they don't know. They're just calling in expecting Derek to answer the phone, probably.
Right.
I have to kind of really think about it like that. So although it's not, because I can't answer every phone call, because then I'd be doing a disservice to everybody else that we are helping, but I have to have somebody that can help and knows the deal, knows who to get them to, knows their file, or heck, sometimes Tao can just handle it right then and there. And it keeps the team then efficient. That client got everything they need. And at the end of the day, that's everything. The client, as weird as it sounds to say it out loud, they don't need me every single time. I've had to kind of accept that. Like, I used to think that,
right.
It's like, but I'm not that important. They just need to have good quality help from me or anybody on the team, really. Most of the time, 99% of the time, that can work just fine. If they can get a quicker answer from Tao, well, that's better than waiting a couple hours for Derek,
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
It's huge. Tell me about, so you mentioned social media, some videos that you sent. Tell me how you're using social media and what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've been a big help, like and kind of guiding the way a little bit there for sure. Because I, certainly have had to grow in the social media thing. Because again, until about 2 years ago, I was, just kind of a ghost on social media. I didn't really have much going on there. Didn't know. I mean, again, it was just like all ideas, but nothing on paper, nothing out there. So, so I, like a lot of people, I mean, I talk to other lenders and realtors all the time. They're like, "Oh yeah, I need to start doing videos. That'd be good." I'm like, yeah, we just got to do it. You just got to. And even though I look back today and my videos from 2 years ago, I just kind of curl up in a little ball. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Like, I can remember because Tao used to help me, and I can remember her recording and like reminding me, like, smile at the end. I'm like, that's how bad it was. But I think that's good to like honestly break it down to like a real basic level there, like kind of not seem like it, just not trying to make it sound like I picked up a phone on day one and I was great in any way, because I wasn't. I think that's probably important for everybody to hear, that it just started with, okay, on day one, I picked it up and I did as good as I could on day one. Wasn't very good. It actually kind of stunk, but it was a video, put it out there. And then on day two, it was like 1% better, and then 1% better. And then again, not that it's perfect today, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was back then. Because also you start watching the videos like, oh man, I could have done this better. I should have done it this way. Or, but I think the other probably big one is, because even some of the people on my team, some of my loan partners have, I think it's kind of started to put seeds in their head. They're like, because they also sometimes get some of their own business as well. And they're like, man, you do videos every day. Like, how do you, so like, I'm trying to kind of encourage them to, hey, what about once a week you do a video kind of deal? And then the question always is, well, what do I talk about? What the heck do I, like, where do I start? Like, how do I do it? I'm like, well, think of, we have tons of conversations with clients and agents, and buying a home, there's so many questions. Think of one. What's the last question you got from a borrower? Boom, there's your video. Like, that's your topic.
It's
and
awesome.
Then go. Like, it's a lot of it's just simplifying it. And probably the other big thing, I guess, just kind of doing the lead up here into like walking into videos, I guess, is I also used to try to think of, okay, bank statements, let's say, just throw out a random thing here. Well, I would try to talk about everything about bank statements in a video. I would try to just like quickly jam it all in. You could talk about deposits or how much you need, or the earnest money coming out, or a gift money coming in, or I'm like, and then again, this is with us kind of evolving with our video game. Tal's like, each one of those should have been a video. Like, break that down. That's your whole week's worth of videos talking about one little thing at a time about bank statements. I'm like, duh. So a lot of it's literally simplifying it. I think anybody in our industry, or really any industry, because like if I ask Brian France about marketing, well, you got so many things going. Like you could just talk all day about marketing. It's what you do. You're great at it. But then I think a lot of it's like, that right there is way over my head. I don't understand half of it. Like, break it down for me, chunk it up, tell me one topic for a minute. Okay, that's all I need for today. I can't digest anymore. Then tomorrow, tell me one more minute. And that's kind of, I guess, how our videos have gone, is just really simplifying it. And I try to like sometimes ramp it up to a little higher level, and sometimes make it really simple, because where I've gone with it is I've tried to evolve it and multiply myself more and more. That's probably been like the next phase of it that we've been doing. Right. Sure, I post that video out there. That's something on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok, whatever. Got something out there. But then a lot of them, because they are borrower questions. Well, I see borrowers on social media asking questions, or borrowers texting or emailing us asking questions. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did that earnest money video a couple months ago. Let me go grab that, send that link. So everything we have is formatted where we can just text or email the link over to them. And so can my team. My team's pretty well aware of what videos we have. So I could be on this podcast with you. Somebody asks a question about a bank statement. The team knows where to go and grab that. So they can still type it out, but they could also have a video, and I'm there on their phone or in their email talking to that client, but really I'm here talking to you. And so that's where I would be able to kind of multiply it quite a bit and reuse those videos when the questions come up. But I think that's been kind of the next level to it, to really get a lot more use. And that right there, building trust. The client sees, I mean, people trust you when they see you a lot more, I think. Like, mannerisms, whatever it might be. I think if it's, I don't know, or emails could be taken out of context or whatnot, but a video, not so much. Like, it's, you get to actually
so many nuggets there. Just to break it down, right? And then I think at the end of the day, right, if you be helpful, right, if you answer that one question, that last question that you got, it's a great place to start with your videos. You talked about answering questions on social media. Like, you see borrowers, those are great topic ideas as well. Where are you finding these people or asking these questions?
That's a really good question. So so there's a lot of like home buyer groups on Facebook. I think there's a lot of local, probably in every market there's whatever, or there's specific VA. If you're in a town that has a military base, I'm sure there's a VA home buyer page, or a first time home buyer page, or I know there's some I've seen that are like investors talking about investment properties. And I think there's thousands of Facebook groups out there. Probably a lot of them are very localized to every different market. But that right there. So then I guess it's not so much just me scrolling through normal Facebook feed or whatever. Right. There's just all different life things going on there. But if I jump into like a home buyer specific Facebook group, that's where the questions are. So yes, because it's also, again, most of my day is spent around myself and my team and talking to agents and whatnot. So we're thinking, we're deeply involved with files. So it's very helpful to get removed from that for a second and get back out on the front lines. Like, okay, this is what people have questions on. This is more useful, not me explaining some super crazy, funky product over here. Like that one-off situation, great. But it's like, they want to know how much money do I need to save up for a down payment? Like, they want to know the starting, where do I start? Hey, I want to buy a house. What's my first move? Do I talk to a realtor? Do I talk to a lender? And we're so far sometimes removed from that I think it's very helpful to get back into some of those groups to not only be able to answer some of their questions with the video that we have, but learn how to, or get our topic for the next video as well.
That's amazing, right? Yeah, the topic, like if you haven't already created a video of it and someone's asking the question, there's your video, right?
Yeah, that's a hole in our game. We haven't covered that topic yet. Got to do so tomorrow. We're doing that video kind of thing. I'll got it down. Like, all right, like that's the biggest. Yeah, 100%. That's the biggest thing is like what, because after a while, I mean, I don't know. I think we're pushing like 300 videos now or something. It's like we haven't covered. We never will cover every topic, but we covered quite a few. That's a lot of topics. So now it's like always kind of adapting and need to have something useful and helpful, and then I think it comes back to you. Yeah.
Awesome. What what was shoot, the videos, I lost what I was going to say. It's all good. But realtors, what do you do? Like, what do you do with realtors? How do you help them? And first, like, I know crazy market out there. How are you still finding success? Yeah. So jumping in those groups, right? Answering those questions, but being on video, I think are reasons for your success, right? That's people are finding you. But what are you seeing with realtors that are out there right now? Helping them.
Yeah. So it's I mean, it's a crazy time for everybody. I mean, obviously we all have seen house prices going up and there's been house shortages the last few years. And then of course, in the recent months or this year, interest rates have just had the most volatile year in decades. And I think I feel like I'm fortunate to have a kind of a community of loan officers across the country, all in different markets to talk to. I mean, I think I've really leaned heavily into that, where every week, for example, we get together and chat about the market. Spend an hour every Saturday morning chatting. But then I started, so that's me with other loan officers. Then jumping over to the realtor topic, I've certainly noticed, because it kind of all made sense to me. I finally clicked one day. I'm a little like thick-headed sometimes. I'm like, okay, finally get it. So more so, because us lenders, we're all in different markets. We're not stepping on each other's toes. Like, I want my buddies in California and Florida and wherever to succeed, and they want me to succeed. I genuinely believe that, because I'm not taking food off of their plate and they're not taking food off of my plate. We all want each other to win. I feel like realtors, for the most part, I don't think that's built that much. I think most realtors know other realtors in their same city, in their same market. So I've certainly noticed, as I've gotten in deeper and deeper with a lot of agents, they don't really share their secrets. It's very close to the chest, and this is what I do well, and I don't want you to know. But then it's like just the old fashioned rule there of, well, if I give Brian a secret and he gives me one of his secrets, we both walk away with an extra secret we didn't know about, like an extra little nugget. But people are so, I feel like, and it's no slight in any way to the real estate world, but I think that's just the truth. I think most realtors would agree with that. Like, they don't share their best secrets, and their colleagues don't share theirs. So it's a much slower growth that way. So one thing we've been trying to do a lot is get in deep, like go, like literally be friend, because we've actually made like great friends with a lot of our realtors. Like, even if I didn't know them as a realtor, I'd be friends with them, so it's not even like a business thing. The business comes, with it, but we've gotten in deep, and then what they kind of just taught, we're just like person to person chatting about it. We're sharing the heck out of everything we do. Some realtors might want to be building a team. Well, heck, I could give them a lot of trials and tribulations on building a team, like the good, the bad, and the ugly about it. Like, hey, let's fast track it. So that's one thing. Or, carefully, but kind of saying, and not giving names or anything like that with realtors to one another, but hey, here's something I know that some agents are doing right now that's really helping. I thought it might help you. I thought it might apply to your business. So almost kind of being like the middleman, if you will, or distributor amongst like realtor secrets, kind of where helping everybody. I want like everybody to do better, all of them. But I think because they won't talk amongst themselves a lot of times because they're afraid to like, well, if I give you a secret, am I going to get something out of this? Or are you going to go use that and steal my client from me? Because we're in the same market trying to sell the same houses. So I think part of that's been one thing, just as I'm getting in deeper and deeper with a lot of agents and had the time and ability to do so. It's just hearing them out. And I think a lot of them in today's market is they're scared. They're uncertain, I guess. And I think they don't all have the same network that I've been fortunate enough to be be a part of or be at the table with some of the big guys and gals in the country, sharing their secrets. So I'm like, hey, I try to be there the best that we possibly can to kind of just like guide them through the crazy time or break down the, hey, these are some things you can be doing with your buyers to help, make sure that you keep your buyers educated and on track and not scared of the market. No, houses aren't going to collapse. Like, we're not going to see a crazy drop in values. They're calming down. That's it. Doesn't mean that they're dropping. Little things like that. Because I think otherwise realtors a lot of times are on their own. I think most brokerages just, all right, here's your realtor license, go sell houses. And there you go. Yeah. So I think a lot of it's just, that's again, just like with clients, kind of going back to the basics on some of that stuff and just helping them on a personal level, understanding it, help, sharing some secrets. Because again, I want all of our realtors to succeed. That's good for everybody. It's good for clients, good for them, good for us. I think kind of being the distributor a little bit of like, applying the right secrets to the right person. Yeah. Sharing information, man. And diving in deep with their, with helping their business. And I think it's not a one size fits all at all. I certainly feel like some people, certain things would apply, but I mean, like some realtors love this, this stuff, we got, bam, here's them, here's their team, that's something done for you. That helps them in today's market. That's hours of time off their plate, makes them look like a rock star to every one of their clients, doing their open houses with them, things like that. So helping their business, and in turn, it'll just naturally help ours.
Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing, right? I think you've put a lot of focus on like, how can I help my realtors? Like, what are their biggest pains with other lenders? And I think you had mentioned it's like communication, right? You mentioned that earlier. And what have you done there to solve that for the realtors that you work with?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it is just kind of shutting my mouth and listening, asking the question, and then stop, really listening to what they have to say. And again, a lot of it is different variations of communication. They all have an example, or, oh man, I was trying to make this offer and I really tried to get a hold of my lender because I wanted them to call the listing agent to help push that offer through or whatnot. And just the lender called me back, after the weekend was over and we already missed out on the offer and the whole thing blew up. And then the buyer just went to rent and they never actually bought a house. I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible. So I'm like, well, what do we need to do to make sure that doesn't happen? So, I've got a team and I've got good coverage. So it's like somebody's always available, even on the weekends. And usually on the weekends, it just takes one person kind of having like just a flex schedule a little bit. Like, okay, if something pops up, I can hop on my computer and get them what they need, or I can make that call. So that right there. Also, we have it scheduled to where when it happened a couple times this morning, realtor sends a client over, hey, so-and-so's filling out the application. And we also co-brand our application. So we kind of make the realtor look like a rock star, because even though it's our app, it has the realtor stuff all over it. Awesome. So then we create that file in our CRM, tag the realtor to it, so they get notified. So every communication we have with that borrower, the realtor gets a push notification to their phone and their email of, hey, spoke with them, this is what I talked about, boom, boom, boom. And if at any point in time, the realtor could just pull up their client's file and see our whole line of communication from me or anybody on the team. So that right there, I feel like solves a lot of it, because there should never be, it's all time stamped, which person on the team spoke to them. Because a lot of the realtors, they've gotten to know my loan partners really well as well. And then again, on the communication part, our phone system, our phone lines, our text, and our email is all joint. So again, it's not like they're waiting on Derek to get back from some meeting to respond. It's Derek plus 4 of the loan partners, plus Tao, plus a virtual assistant. You're all there. So it's a lot more coverage, I guess, to make sure the communication is very, very good on that. Then while clients are pre-approved, we call every Thursday, we call every client and the realtor to check in. And a lot of it's like, in today's market, I usually reuse my videos on, hey, this is what I did about the market, kind of keeping clients informed. That'll be our Thursday message. We'll call them, talk to them, and then the team will say, hey, Derek's going to send a video over to you as well. Bam, there you go. So communication, also touch the agent, let them know, hey, we talked to your buyer, they had these concerns, but don't worry, we handled it. We sent them this. I think this should be good. Let us know if you need anything this weekend. We'll be here for you. And same kind of method while they're under contract and in underwriting or processing. We also have a weekly update call to the buyer, of course, and they work hand in hand with our processors, but we also check in with our buyers because we're the familiar face that's been there with them the whole time. Check in with the agent, let them know how underwriting is going once a week. they still see all of our updates also. So it's even between our once a week calls, they
Yep.
get everything that's going on in the file. The buyer's agent knows. And then one thing that we kind of try to take it to another level is, again, this is me listening to our buyer's agents, listing agents, want to know that the loan's going well. They don't care about all the conditions. They don't care about what the buyers happen to do. They don't need to know that.
Right. Yeah.
But are we on track? How's the appraisal coming along? Is the title work in? Those are usually the three questions we always get. But they usually ask it to the buyer's agent. So that's every week the buyer's agent is getting pulled away from doing their actual job to answer the listing agent. So again, light bulb went off. I'm like, what if we just take that off your plate? Why don't we just make sure that listing agent knows every week what's going on? Hey, buyer's agent, you can go help your clients. We'll handle the sellers. We got you. So
and that just again, you're helping the realtor, right? Which in turns helps you.
So go out and sell more houses. We've got you. You sent this over. It's our job. We'll take it home from here. We'll make sure that listing agent knows exactly what's going on. They're not going to call and bug you. You go out and sell more houses.
It's amazing. I think what continues to shine from this is that you just keep like focusing on helping your realtors, right? And helping them in any way, like whatever they need. You showed that pamphlet. What would it take for them to make those? And you're taking that off their plate, right? You're creating them, giving them to them already printed. They don't have to worry about doing all that. It's amazing.
Right. And admittedly, that's a perfect example. That's something I can't make that pamphlet look as pretty as it does. That's why I have Tal do it for me. But she makes it look. She's great at that, and she does. So she dove in, like had the realtor kind of put together how they wanted it to come across. Like, hey, send me the picture you want, and she even typed up kind of the write up about them. Hey, proofread this. Make sure you're good with me putting that on print, and we're good. We got it. We'll handle it. So she dropped it off at their office. Hey, here's a couple hundred to get you started. Let us know when you need to re-up on it. We'll get you the next batch of flyers. She does the same thing with like social media posts. She does social media posts custom to the realtor. And even on those, we don't co-brand them with ourselves. I feel like that'd be a pretty selfish move on like the social media stuff. It's highlighting the realtor. They're in the spotlight. We do that once a month with any agents that we're tight with. We put a social media post together because again, I think everybody can attest that social media is important. I just think it's the action part of doing it consistently, making it look good. So if we can help take that off their plate as well, they can go sell more houses. They can do their actual job. We can help cover all the things in between. Open house posts. We boost the heck out of people's open houses. We show up with, Tao does all the marketing for that. Make sure that the open house flyer looks good, highlights the realtor. They're a rock star, posted everywhere. I even do targeted ads sometimes on Facebook for open houses and then show up with the whole spread, all the co-marketed stuff. So again, they could show up and sell houses. We could show up and do the rest.
Yes. I love it. So much value there. Thank you for sharing. So what do you see coming the next 6 months to a year?
That's a loaded question, Brian. So I certainly, I feel like we've probably seen the toughest part of it, and then nobody knows. Maybe there's another couple more, month or two or three of doom and gloom. But because of course we're all going into winter right now. No matter what market you're in, it slows naturally. People like to move in the spring and summer. But I mean, the way I'm looking at it is the last couple of years, house prices are going crazy. I try to kind of segment it up. There's house prices and there's interest rates. Those are obviously the two biggest topics in the real estate world. The last couple of years, house prices have gone crazy. We've all seen that, but that didn't slow buyers down. People were still buying the heck out of houses. Like they weren't, because rates were it was more of an affordability thing. Like they could afford the house. Paying the house is 20% more expensive than it was last year, but I can swing that payment. I can make that happen. It wasn't until interest rates started marching up, buyers started going on to the sidelines. Like, hold on, this is the Dow. That's cutting into like everything I can afford. I'm not so sure. So I think it's not. I mean, and again, I don't see house values dropping because simple supply and demand. We have a lot of buyers, not enough houses. There's people aren't going to start underbidding houses because they're going to lose it to the next buyer that's going to pay full price. So I don't think there's an issue there in any way. But Interest rates, that's the big thing. I think that's the more market moving headline,
Yeah.
because that's the affordability. Interest rates move monthly payments a lot more than house prices do. I was talking to a client the other day about this, kind of preach it to my team, hey, $10,000 on a house price is something that's a chunk of change, but
over
50 bucks
years.
a month. Yeah. But that's $50 a month. I mean, in reality, most people would still fork up about another $50 a month to get the house of their dreams if they had to.
Oh yeah.
But a 0.25% in interest rate on the average house is also at least $50 a month.
Right.
And rates have went up 3-4% this year.
Yeah.
Like 4%, a quarter is $50. So you start doing that, and it's just widely changed affordability.
Yeah.
So it's all about when do rates come back down. And I don't think anybody should ever have the expectation of COVID rates again. There's not going to be 2 or 3% interest rates. That it took COVID to make that happen. Like the economy had to get to that level with COVID, where that's a whole unique unicorn time where I don't think it's going to happen again. But I also don't think 7% interest rates will happen forever either. It's inflation's gone crazy, as we all know. When inflation comes back down, rates will go back down. And I feel like the really quick answer or explanation on that is, we all know the Federal Reserve is trying like heck. Finally, I feel like they took forever to start acting, but they finally are trying to curb inflation, which with them raising their rates, that will start to slow down. And a lot of indicators are showing that it will. House prices are one, they've calmed down. House prices are a big part of inflation. That's like 32% of the inflation report is on housing in the housing sector. Rent costs have been skyrocketing as well, but they've started to calm down. So there's a lot of early indicators that inflation's not fixed by any means at all, but I think it might be hitting its peak. I think it's slowly calming down, and as it does, rates will calm down. And I actually did a thing on it. I won't, do a huge long spiel here, but did a whole deep dive into the market. I feel like by the end of next year, I feel like we very well could see interest rates in the 5% again. There's a lot of data to show that. Nobody knows. I mean, heck, there was the war in Ukraine and Russia that nobody saw coming. That blew up inflation as well, because gas supplies are all messed up, or oil supplies. So there's weird things that could happen that nobody's expecting for. But with everything we know today, I think there's a high likelihood rates do start to drop, and that brings buyers back in the market because it gets affordable again. So I don't think it's doom and gloom forever. I think we're back on the right track. Slowly, but surely.
Yeah, totally. Love it. So what would a buyer looking to purchase their home, what would they expect from you and your team? What can they expect?
No, that's a really good question. So, well, right up front, they can expect a lot of information. I think that's something I've dove head over heels on the last 2 years, is just making sure they have a resource for everything. So if they're a first-time home buyer, I think that's probably the best example to use, because they have a lot of questions, never done it before. We've got so many first-time home buyer guides and pamphlets, and because even though, as you know, like I'm all in on the videos, I also have to think about it like, well, maybe not everybody wants a video. Maybe not everybody wants that, So we've obviously got the videos. We've got the first-time home buyer, multiple different like guidebooks or things to think of, or walking you through every step along the way. I've got a super knowledgeable team. I mean, my average loan partner has been in the business for about 15 years. So they know how to hold somebody's hand and walk them through the process. We're never too busy for them. That's also why I've gotten help. We're never, if we get busier, we just add more good help. We don't ever get too busy for them. So I think those are some of the basics. Then when you get into the more nuts and bolts of it, we've got over 200 different lending options, investors, banks that we work with. So again, normally old school mortgage, you walk into your local bank, you see what 2 or 3 or 4 options they have and which one you might be able to fit within. If you're fitting within their box, whatever they have, that's it. There you go. Here's your rate. Here's a number. Sign right here. Roll. We totally flip that upside down and say, okay, we got 200 different banks. Here's this client's credentials. Which bank fits them best? It's totally the other way around. So with that, I mean, I saw a stat just the other day, we kind of ran on our yearly numbers. We saved the average client compared to the average, middle of the road bank out there. We saved the average client $9,400 over the course of their home loan. So
Oh, wow.
about half of that is upfront cost, and about the other half is on interest rate. But in total, it was $9,400 over the course of their home loans, what we're averaging right now. So that's the other part. I think in a lot of industries, it's being if I want to drive that Mercedes, I got to pay for that Mercedes. I got to really pay a pretty penny for it. I think we try to really develop it on, hey, we have that Mercedes quality, but it's still bare bones pricing. We're not, there's not the markup of the big banks. There's, so much flexibility in being able to find you the best rate. The numbers show that, or the unique loan products. I think that's the other one where we've turned a lot of people around that had more phone calls ever in the last couple of years where very first initial conversation, clients like ready to get off the phone. Hey, sorry, I messed up. I shouldn't have clicked on that. I shouldn't have reached out to your website. Like I probably can't qualify. But hold on, why? Just because so-and-so bank down the road wasn't able to do it, I get no harm done, nothing against them, but they don't have all the options. Let's look at it. Let's take a look. And there's been a lot where it's like, oh, well, sure, they have their certain overlays or their rules.
Yeah.
We don't. We have a lot of flexibility. So I think that's the biggest thing, really good service, quality help, a ton of resources all throughout the process, communication, and then really finding your best and
the option.
Best price and best option to fit your needs.
Awesome. It's amazing. Cool. Last question, man. What would you say is the greatest insight to someone that's trying to take their mortgage brokerage to the next level?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think a lot of it is kind of diagnosing your your business. I think there's probably not a one size fits all, but I think and this is kind of a wild one for me because again, I'm more of I've always been like in the front lines of sales. That's what I've always done. Yeah. So I always think, man, I just need to like perfect the process, and that is a big part of it. That's if you don't have that, you got nothing. But you can have the best process in the world, if nobody knows about it, you also have nothing. So I think that's where like teaming up with you guys and helping my marketing game get to another level. I think because and maybe I'm a little biased on it, but I think we've had a really good thing for quite a while. Yeah. I think I struggled on getting the word out, making sure people knew about it, like getting the phone to ring. We've always said it amongst our team, like, man, once somebody reaches out and just learns that we're here, like they don't go anywhere. Like they're here, they're lifers. They're with us for every loan they're going to ever get, and their family and friends. It's like, man, we just need to make sure more people know about us, and that's kind of why obviously I came running to you guys to help magnify that, spread that awareness around. So I really think that's like you got to have a strong foundation. I think for anybody starting off, marketing is great, but if there's nothing solid to market, you're kind of doing it out of order. You got to have a strong foundation. But then once you do, again, like you could have a fantastic business, but if no one knows it's a business, what are you doing? Like what can you do with that? So for that reason, I guess I would say that once you have the groundwork laid, then it's letting people know about it, getting with you guys, and then it kind of starts spreading like wildfire.
Amazing. Derek, thank you for your time.
No, Brian, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, we'll do it again.
Beautiful. Absolutely, man. Look forward to it. Have a good weekend.
Sounds good. You too.
Thanks, Brian.
If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit mortgagebrokermarketing.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Mortgage Brokers, tripling your online sales by getting your internet marketing done the right way. Also check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to optimizing your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Mortgage Success Podcast. Thank you for listening.